Good afternoon. I'm really looking forward to our time together today. How good was Matt Jones? How good was that opening sentence where that raspy voice that gave me goosebumps? He was absolutely incredible. I'm really looking forward to sharing my time with you today. And I really want to share with you some of the best that I have learnt around prospecting. One thing there, some of you may know me, some of you may not know me. So I just wanted to spend 30 seconds explaining who I am, how I've got to be on this stage. If you were to say to me, Aaron, what are you most proud of through your 25 years of real estate? What would that be? As an agent, the thing that I've been most proud of as a real estate agent was being able to do 216 deals in a year, and I did that 3 years in a row. That made me the #1 agent in my network in Australia. Fast forward to today, and you say to me, Aaron, what's the thing you're most proud of now as a coach? I get to work with some of the best agents and agencies in the country. One of my best agencies right now is doing north of $60 million in GCI. That's the #1 Ray White in Australasia. I work with the #1 LJ Hooker in Australasia. But if you were to say to me, Aaron, what are you really proud of as a coach? It isn't working with the top agents. What I'm really proud of is I get to work with some of the best up-and-coming agents here in New Zealand and in Australia. I love it when I see an agent who is out of momentum and we get back into momentum. You know, we actually had a conversation with VK, who's sitting up the back there. I started working with VK 12 months ago. He did 60,000 in GCI. In the last 12 months rolling, he's now done $480,000 in GCI. Give him a round of applause, please. He said to me, Aaron, I'm now #2 in my branch. That's the thing that actually really juices me, helping people go from no traction to traction. I said to VK, what's the goal for this financial year? Aaron, 700. I know I only played a very small role in VK's success, but what I would like to do for the next half an hour is really share with you what the best are doing and how you can sort of transplant that into your business. Einstein has a great quote, and that is, when you can take something very, very complicated and explain it in a very simple way, that's when you have a sound understanding of the subject matter. So if you were to say to me, Aaron, dissect what the best are doing, your observation of what the best are doing right now, what would that look like? And for me, what the best are doing, and I'm going to suggest everybody write this down, because we're going to take something very simple and we're going to explain it, and we're going to take something very complicated and explain it in a really simple way. The first thing I'm going to say to everybody is, it's not about reinventing the wheel. If you were to say to me, how do I scale my business? How do I go from where I am now, doubling my business? I can tell you, it's within the things you're already doing. The system already exists within your business. Let me explain what I mean. The best agents right now are doing the basics. They are doing the basics. They're doing them well, and they're doing them consistently. You might be doing a couple of those things, but are you doing all three? Do the basics, you do them well, you do them consistently. That's the very first thing I would say. I watch a lot of agents sort of segment and split into 50 different things. So we did a study recently with one of the major groups in Australia. And here is what they found. 70% of all leads, 70% of all their leads that actually converted into business was from 2 lead sources. 54% of total revenue or total leads converted into business come from nurturing pre-existing clients, nurturing the database. 54% come from nurturing the database. 16% of new opportunities come from prospecting and working the farm area. But here's the crazy thing. Something like 90% of agents aren't staying in contact or nurturing their database anywhere near as good as they could. So if you were to say to me, Aaron, scale my business in 3 easy steps, I want to give you some real simple things you can implement. The very first thing I would say as an observation, what are the best agents doing right now? What the best agents are doing right now is they're asking more people, do they want to sell? They're asking more people, do they want to sell than their colleagues? And they're asking more people, do they want to sell than their competitors? That's the very first thing. You've got to ask more people. But not only are you asking more people, you're asking in more ways. There's got to be a layered approach. The best agents right now have a lot of layers to their system. Now, you might say to me, explain what you mean by a layer. A layered approach is, do you have a nurturing program that's utilizing email, that's utilizing SMS, that's utilizing video, that's utilizing even old school direct mail, that's utilizing a farm area strategy, a digital strategy? You're on the phone making the necessary amount of conversations and connects. Guys, we are a contact sport. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. We've got to make more calls. So the best agents right now, they simply are outperforming their colleagues and their competitors. They're asking more people, do they want to sell? And they're asking in more ways through more layers. The best agents have 5, 6, 7, 8 layers working for them. A good agent has 3 or 4 layers working for them. Average agents have 2 or 3 layers working for them, and a below average agent has 1 way. There's an army saying, there's a military saying in Australia, which is when you've got 2, you've got 1, and when you've got 1, you've got none. I hope you understand what I mean when I say that. Let me say it again. When you've got 2, you've got 1. When you've got 1, you've got none. If we're only putting all our eggs in a small amount of basket, if that strategy doesn't work, we're in trouble. So the best agents ask more people, they ask in more ways with more layers. That's step 1. If you were to say to me, what is step 2? Step 2 for me in scaling your business and scaling it quickly is very, very simple. Step 2 is asking more people this month than you asked last month. Let me explain what I mean. We're in the business where this clock resets. We ask more people this month than we did last month. If I went out and prospected right now, just like you, if I spoke to 100 people, if you spoke to 100 people and we all asked the same question, do you want to sell? Sure, we might have different dialogue on how we're going to do that. But if we ask that question of do you want to sell, there's going to be a very big bell curve. There's going to be a very small percent that say yes. There's going to be the overwhelming majority in the middle that say no, thank you. And then there's going to be a very small percentage of people on the other side that say F off, no. So very small percentage of people will say yes. A small percentage of people will be rude when they say no. But the overwhelming majority of people, when they say no, thank you. Or in Australian language, nah, we're good, thank you. Right? So based off that, it's not what you do with the F-offs, it's not what you do with the yeses, it's what you do with the people in the middle. We should constantly be adding more people this month than we did last month. What do I mean? Team, I can tell you right now, the best agents in this country and in Australia, they have a real database focus. How am I constantly adding to my database? We should be asking more people this month than last month. So what would that look like? I'm out prospecting, phone calling, door knocking, meeting people at open homes, and I can say, great news team, the cash rate's starting to finally go down. It's starting to go down. Buyer confidence for the first time is starting to go up. We're starting to see that bottom end of the market start to shift. We're seeing first home buyers enter the market again. Right now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the market's constantly changing. What I'm doing for a lot of my really good clients is I'm offering them a performance report. In that performance report, it lets you know exactly how well your street and suburbs performed, but the best part about that performance report is it lets you know exactly what your neighbours have sold for. Would you also like to be included? I'm sending one of those reports to your neighbours. And you say, what's the point? If I went out and said that dialogue to those people that said no thank you, maybe 20, maybe 30% say, you know what? I'm actually interested in that. All of a sudden, you think about it. Right now, I may have 100 prospects in my database. I go out and use that dialogue at the end of your normal prospecting conversation. I add another 20. I add another 30 people to my database next month. Guess what? I now talk to more people this month than I spoke to last month, okay? And it continues to grow. Next month rolls around. Now I've got 150 in my database. I add another 30 people to my database. Team, I want to run a little experiment with you. If you had 10 potential sellers right now, how many can you list? The answer is as many as 10. You might list 2, you might list 3, but the answer is many as 10. And we've all done this in the past. We've all had this amazing month lined up. We're excited. We've got 6. We've got 6 in the immediate pipeline, but then 6 becomes 5 because one of their dogs got diabetes. And I don't know, it's got to go and get treatment at a special place. Then, and then you miss another one because somebody's relative or their cousin become a real estate agent. And what was shaping up to be this amazing month ends up falling apart. So if you were to say to me, what's the strategy to growth in this business? It is having a full pipeline all year round. And let me explain what I mean. There's a difference between possibility and probability. If you were to say to me, Aaron, scale my business quickly, this is what it looks like. If you have 100 prospects right now, how many can you list? As many as 100. If I have 1,000 in my database right now that I'm regularly communicating with, how many can I list? As many as 1,000. It's scalable, team. So if you were to say, what's the difference between possibility and probability? If I went and played Powerball tonight and I buy a ticket, sure, there is a possibility that I win, but it's not probable. That's the difference between possibility and probability. So what's my point? The best agents right now are constantly adding people to their database. The most underrated KPI in this business is how many people you add to your database. You show me an agent who's killing it, I will look at their database and I will see that they're growing in contacts and they're communicating with them. I see an agent spinning their wheels and they're not getting that traction. I'll see an agent who isn't fulfilling or meeting their own KPIs or their goals. So step 1 for me is asking more people in more ways. Step 2 is asking more people this month than last month. And then step 3. Step 3 for me is a big one. Step 3 is we come up with new ways that are exciting that ask the same question. And I hope you understand what I mean by asking the same question. Do you want to sell? There's only so many ways that you can ask, do you want to sell? But you've got to come up with better reasons. Here is what I know. Better the purpose, better the response. If I use dialogue like this is what we call red flag words in coaching. If you use words like just reaching out, just checking in, just following up, or my favorite of all, just touching base, you're going to get met with friction and resistance. Because newsflash, no one wants their base touched by you, okay? So based off that alone, when we need to have a better reason. Because when you say to a prospect, I'm just following up. The subtitles to that is, I've got no business going on right now. I'm desperate. Can you help? What we should be saying when we are making those calls is, hey, look, it's Aaron from Harcourts. It's Aaron from Ray White. It's Aaron from Aric. I just wanted to give you a quick call. I've driven past your house 10 times. I've driven past your house 10 times in the last week. Every time I drive past, I've been meaning to give you a call. I've just put the one under contract around the corner from you. I just wanted to give you a call, see how everything is going. We've got to have a better reason to prospect. If you were to say to me, scale my business quickly, what does that look like? This is the best piece of advice I will give you today. I would love for everybody to walk out of here with the structure of a marketing plan. What does a structure of a marketing plan look like? You run 10 big campaigns a year. And you might say to me, what do you mean a campaign? There should be 10 talking points a year that we communicate to our There's three audiences in which we need to attack or which we need to be in front of. Database, socials, and farm area. This is the three-pronged approach to scaling. We aren't in a business anymore where it's either or. We are in the business now of and. I hope you understand what I mean when I say that. We need to be killing it in our database and on socials and in the farm area. It's not either or anymore. So you might say to me, what do these campaigns look like? How do I bring this all together? You come up with 10 talking points a year. What's an example of a campaign? Would you like to be sold through winter? As an example. The OCR just dropped the cash rate. We're coming into spring. It's Christmas. Each agent in this room should have 10 reasons to go to their farm area, go to socials, go to their database. 10 campaigns a year. And then once you've got those 10 campaigns mapped out, then you start developing what I call campaign items. And campaign items are the spin-off. So what does my text message for that message look like? What does my email for that look like? What does my video script for that look like? And what does my phone call for that look like? Once you've got your 10 big campaigns, now you know what your campaign items are. Now you've got touch points. If you were to say to me, Aaron, scale my business quickly, it is about touch points. We know that the more contact touch points you do in a year, the more people go from know you, then like you, then trust you. So the frequency, please remember this. If you need to, please write it down. Frequency of contact builds trust. So you say to me, Aaron, scale my business. 1, we ask more people in more ways. 2, we ask more people this month than last month and put KPIs around adding people to the database, potential sellers to the database. 3, come up with new ways. Come up with new ways to keep adding people and come up with new ways to keep asking people, do they want to sell? Now you might say to me, Aaron, who do I add to my database? Who do I get into my sphere of influence? We call it the 3 Ps. They're potential sellers. Everybody has a different definition of a potential seller. There's 550, 600 agents in this room. And if I was to ask every single one of you, we'll all have a slightly varied definition. So let me share my definition of what a potential seller looks like. Some people say it's someone that's selling in a week. Some people that say they're selling in 6 months. A potential seller for me is 3 things. It's called the 3 Ps. If you need to, write it down. The first thing is a potential seller, they possess 3 Ps. The first P is, do they have a pulse? That's number 1. Do they have a pulse? Number 2, do they own a property? We're in the right spot. They have a pulse. They own a property. We're in a good spot. Third of the 3 Ps is, do I have permission to communicate with you? If you have a pulse, you own a property, and I have permission to communicate with, you are a potential seller. In my database, in those years where I was listing 200 plus properties a year, one of the listings I signed up and sold was in my database for 15 years before I had the opportunity to sit down, present, and partner with that person. Real estate is about carrying buckets of water, but it's also about building a pipeline. The 3 Ps, constantly add people to your database. People sort of say to me, Aaron, how do I get better at prospecting? Give me a snappy dialogue. Teach me what the best are saying. It's not what the best are saying. It's about how they're saying it. I'm going to give you an example. There's some agents that I coach, and when they prospect like it's a chore. They prospect like it's a chore. They don't want to be there. They're only doing it because it's been asked of them to do it. And when they do it, their attitude solidifies the result before it even starts. Your energy introduces you before your handshake. Nothing is more important than your tone of voice. People can sense if you want to be there or you don't. So if you were to say to me, Aaron, help me be more persuasive, be more influential. Well, if you want to be more persuasive and you want to be more influential, the first 2 things, please write down these 2 things. If you want to be more persuasive and more influential, you answer these 2 things in every interaction. Why now? Why with you? Why now? Why should someone do something right now? And why should they be doing it with you? Because this is the internal dialogue, the internal monologue everybody is asking before they pull the trigger. You know, why should I be selling right now? Is it the right time? I'm not quite sure. All this uncertainty, tariffs, wars. Why now? And then, if I am going to do it right now, why with you? Why now? Why with you? But if you were to say to me, what's my observation working with thousands of agents a year? What's my observation? These agents that I'm about to explain or about to describe are going to be out of the industry in the next 6 to 12 months. They're being asked to prospect, and there's an expectation of them to prospect. They're not prospecting because they want to. They're prospecting because they have to. They've got to report back to their branch manager, their team leader with their results. And they go out there with the attitude of this won't work. So when they make the phone call, they ask the question, hey, do you want to sell? You don't? Oh, I fucking knew it. It just... Guys, it doesn't work in this area. It's not going to work. So that's what I would say is you're already exiting the industry without even knowing it yet. Then there's the second type of agent, which is what I would call the good agent. And a good agent, when they prospect, they're like appraisal hunters. They love telling everybody about how many appraisals that they've booked. And they love entering the competitions. They show up for the team prospecting sessions, and that is a great place to be. If you're an appraisal hunter, that's awesome. Because eventually those appraisals will turn into listings. Then there's level 3, and that is the seasoned agents. They're not interested in appraisals. All they want is listings. They are listing hunters. They qualify better, they get to the seller's motivation better, and they find now business. Now, if you were to say to me, Aaron, share with me, some of my coaching clients are now doing close to 350 deals a year. Tell me what they're doing. They're not doing any of the other stuff. They're not doing it to hit a KPI. They're not doing it to book appraisals. They're not doing it to get listings. They're doing it to genuinely help people. There's a genuine willingness to want to help and add value. Guys, I want you to imagine this for a second. Every single one of us has a bank account above our head. There's a dollar symbol. And every interaction you have, you are either putting deposits into that bank account or you are trying to make withdrawals. Most agent interactions are us trying to make withdrawals on that client, where the best agents aren't trying to make withdrawals. All they're trying to do is add massive value. Because what happens when you try and just help, not because you want money, not because you want a listing, but because it's genuinely the right thing to do, the universe shifts. People will come to you. They will know you are on the level. You have a genuine willingness to help. But if you were to say to me, Aaron, I need motivation, I want you to picture this. I want you to picture we are not real estate agents right now. I want you to picture we are at a treasure hunting conference. So we are all treasure hunters. I don't think that's a real thing, but just play along. And let's just say that this clicker, which I haven't used yet, but this clicker is a piece of gold. And I said to every single one of you, close your eyes for 5, you don't have to close your eyes, but for 5 minutes, close your eyes. And what I'm going to do, as the person with the treasure, I'm going to hide this piece of treasure. Now, as a piece of gold, that's probably, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 worth of gold, right? I'm going to hide this, and after 5 minutes, everyone's going to open their eyes, and it's going to be a massive treasure hunt. Whoever gets to find it gets to keep it. Hands up if you would be excited about playing this game with me. If this was gold and it was playing to win, hands up. It should be a Mexican wave. It's not a trick question. And I know some of you competitive ones would resort to violence. At the point of time of opening your eyes, first thing I would do is bang your heads together, lock the door, you get the point, right? We would all be very thrilled about hunting this piece of gold. True or false? That's how I want you to treat prospecting. You are not prospecting, you are treasure hunting. You are treasure hunting to find the piece of gold. The gold doesn't live within this room. The gold lives within the 4 walls of your marketplace. The gold lives within the 4 walls of your marketplace. And here's the good news. There's less competitors searching for it than there is in this room right now. That's the upside. In this room, there's 500 plus people. In your marketplace, there's very few. Are you going to be the one that finds the gold? I promise you. Prospecting won't only change your clients' lives, but it will change your life. Get good at prospecting because this is the only part that matters. Team, you don't have to be good in real estate. You have to be there. You do not have to be good, but you have to be there. We've all had an experience where we've bought a product, a service from somebody that wasn't very good. My point is, why did you buy it? Because you wanted the thing and they were the one standing in front of you. If my one piece of advice to you is figure out how you're going to be there more often. The next thing I'm going to share with you is, and I'm very conscious of time, so there's one agency that I coach, it's LJ Hooker Cleveland. They're the number one in Australasia. They do about $22 million in GCI a year. I'm in that office monthly. I do their one-on-ones. I do their skills coaching for them. They're an incredible business. And I'm really proud to say, when I started coaching them, they weren't even in the top 50 REB, which is like the, I don't know, do you guys have REB in NZ? So REB is like the national awards for every agency. It's a really big thing. They weren't even in the top 50. We are now number one. And if you were to say to me, distill it down to what the thing that they've done really well is, when they go out and prospect, they all ask 3 times. They ask 3 times. The ability to ask 3 times when you're prospecting is a game changer. When most agents prospect, they're asking once, and then we get a no and we move on. What do I mean by ask 3 times? Agents are doing one of these 3 things. Some agents are asking the question, do you want to sell? Some agents are asking, do you want an update? And some agents are asking, do you want a property report? Here is what I'm going to say to everybody. Your mission here is to ask 3 times. I can relate to this, and I know you can too. Have you ever walked into a retail environment? Have you ever walked into a retail environment specifically to buy something? Specifically to buy something, the shop assistant walks up to you and they say, can I help you? You say, no thanks, just looking. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, I'm an idiot. I actually wanted that person's help. Guess what? People do that with us. Prospects do that with us every single day. We must ask 3 times. First thing we ask is, do you want to sell? No, thank you. Okay, well, you're at least curious about what your property is worth. No, thank you. Oh, okay. Well, would you at least like a property report? Let me put that together for you in a dialogue that you can take back with you, either on the phone or on the doors. So the first thing I'm going to do, if I'm on the phone or on a door, I'm going to introduce myself. Hey, my name is Aaron. I'm a real estate agent. And the second I say that, they don't want to know me, right? Because I'm a real estate agent. So the better the purpose, the better the response. I get it. I know I'm an agent, but I've got some amazing news. It's not that you've got amazing news, it's how you say it. I've got amazing news. We just sold the house around the corner. We just sold the house around the corner. We got an amazing result for that property. We had over 2,000 realestate.co inquiries. We had over 50 inquiries come through. We had 30 buyers inspect that house, but that's not the great news. What the great news was, it was a multiple offer situation. I had buyers fighting like jungle animals for that house. A handful of those buyers have asked me to find them something close by. A couple of them have asked me to find them something close by. Now, that first part you've all heard before. This is the part that I want you to interact or adopt. I know it's a long shot, because when you say, I know it's a long shot, it's like a pressure valve. I know it's a long shot, but if I had a buyer who was prepared to pay an absolute premium for your house, I'm not asking, would you sell? I'm just asking, would you be open to hearing what the buyers have said? I want you guys to get this dialogue. In everybody's prospecting, we make it easy for the prospect to say no to us. Hey, we just sold the one around the corner. Would you like a market update? No, thank you. Very hard to say, I've got a buyer who's prepared to pay an absolute premium. I'm not asking, do you want to sell? I'm just asking, are you at least open to hearing what that buyer would say for your home? They may say yes, they may say no. If they say no, it's, I get it. I get it. I knew it was a long shot, but right now the OCR is dropping, confidence is returning. We're coming into the winter market, soon to be in spring. The market's changing. What I'm doing for some of your neighbours who are curious, I'm giving them the new value. Where we do an equity check, you'll discover the new value. Why did I say new value? because it's not market update. That's a red flag word. They hear market update all the time. Use words like equity check and new value. Then if they say no to that, that's where I'd say, look, I get it. The market's constantly changing. The market's constantly changing. What I do for a lot of my really good prospects in this area is I give them a performance report once every 6 months. It lets them know what's going on in the area. And it lets you know exactly what your neighbours have sold for. Team, implement ask 3 times in every conversation. I promise you, it is going to open the doors to more yeses. So team, ask more people, ask in more ways, be absolutely dogged determined to be that agent that finds that piece of gold in your marketplace. My name's Aaron Shiner. I've really enjoyed my time with you today. Thank you very much.